All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining back in with us. We are going to talk about some dreams. I don't know if any of you guys are dreamers out there, but if you're a dreamer, smash that follow button because that would just be cool. I had a dream that I was living in a dirt hole with my family, and it was nighttime, and there was dirt all in there, and it was a really small hole, and I was crawling across my belly complaining. And I had the thought that I hate this dirt hole. And I kind of was using my shoulders and I came out of the hole. Y'all were all asleep. And I look up and I could see the stars. And it was nighttime.
In the dirt hole?
We were sleeping in the dirt hole. Though
Okay.
we were living in the dirt hole. We were trying to escape from something. I knew that to be true in the dream, that we were hiding. Well, I come out and it's nighttime. And I'm looking around. And there is nothing moving. It is super quiet. And I stand up and I start walking down the road. And I look to my left and I see giant spotlights and a giant pavilion. And there's a stage put together. And I see every communistic country you could think of, or like evil regime. And they had all come together under this spotlight on this stage, and all their flags were flying and they were all in unison. And I remember being like in shock and in awe that they had all come together, and they were all in unison, like all of them. They had worked through all their differences and they had come together. So I'm looking at that at my left, and then I decide to keep walking, and I start walking down the road, and I notice that cars are all not moving on the street. And I look up and the light's green. And then I look over to the walkway and I see that people are frozen in place. And I start looking around, and then I hear that something had happened and caused everything to freeze. And I looked at my watch and realized only those, it was, when I looked at my watch, I saw that I heard a voice say it was going to be 3 minutes long. And I looked at my watch and realized that it had already been 1.5 minutes, and I had been hiding in the dirt hole to get away from everything. And we almost missed the window. And in the window, it was like you could go anywhere or do anything in those 3 minutes, because this party over here, that's giant party that had come together, was focused on patting their own backs and being together, and they weren't noticing anything. But then something happened that caused everything to shut down, everything to freeze, and only those who had been hiding were not affected by the freeze, and they were allowed to move. And I looked at my watch and realized I only had another 1.5 minutes. Now in the dream, the sense was that time was a longer time period than 1.5 minutes. And I was running back to the dirt hole to wake y'all up and to get on the road and to get out. And so it was a really strange dream, but I saw the unification of evil powers coming together and uniting under one flag. And then I saw everyone frozen in time that had just been caring about their business. And then I saw those who had been hiding coming out of hiding, and they were able to... Sorry, my wife just got up and left. It's a very intense dream. I'm not saying times or dates. I'm just saying I saw something, and I saw those who had been hiding, those who were with... I want to say hidden with Jesus, but, walking in humility and hiding were not affected by the freeze that was coming. And then in that, there was a response to run and flee. And there was a little window that those who weren't frozen were able to run and flee.
Were the governments frozen at that time as well?
No, they were
still moving.
They were all dancing, and I saw ancient. Also, to note, I saw governments that no longer exist were there. Coming, like anybody that had been communistic, anybody that had been socialistic, anybody that had been one world government, anybody that had been feudalistic. They were coming together and rejoicing.
So
that
it's
they,
like
and
throughout
I saw
history.
one, yes,
Throughout history,
and
leaders.
well, leaders and armies throughout history coming together, and,
Right.
and then the other important part is that they were unifying under one flag.
Right.
I didn't see what the flag was, but I was like, how in the world are these countries coming together for an evil purpose, all unified?
Was it a sense in the dream that possibly they were causing the freeze?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So they were rejoicing because they had caused the freeze.
Well, they were rejoicing because they had come together, but then there was something had gone off, like a not good weapon had gone off, and it had caused everything to freeze. In the dream, it didn't really make sense. I just understood that everyone was frozen. Only those who were hiding were not affected by it. But in that, a lot of people that were hiding stayed hidden, and missed the window to flee.
Okay. Gotcha. So people were hiding, and was it a sense that they were hiding from this one world system?
Yeah.
Okay.
People were kind of like zoning
Hiding
out of
out.
the world, hiding out, but then they missed the window to get away from what
They were planning.
what they were planning. That's exactly it.
And this reminds me, number one, of a passage in Revelation I'm trying to find. That's why I got up. And then secondly, you had another dream like this where there was a pause, I remember. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I had a
So
dream.
share that one right quick, because aren't they similar?
Yeah, the other one was I had a dream that I was standing on a highway and I heard the word delay. And I was like, oh no, delay. What's been delayed? What's been delayed? And then I heard the enemy has been momentarily delayed. And I heard it's not for the fortification of the church. It's so the church can move forward. It's for the advancement of the church. It's for the advancement of the church.
Right. Was it a sense?
Forward.
Because in the dream the first dream, you said it was a time to move. So it
Yeah.
seems to me the same thing.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Mm-hmm.
So say the
Yeah.
second dream one more time.
Second dream was I was walking on a highway at nighttime,
Okay.
which is funny because they were both at nighttime, and
Right.
I heard a loud voice say, "Delayed," and I got nervous. I was like, "What's delayed? Who's delayed? Where are we being delayed?" And then I heard the voice of the enemy has been momentarily delayed,
Right.
and then I heard it's not for the fortification of the church, so we go and fortify, but it's for the advancement of the kingdom. It's to move forward.
Right. So the passage, I'm still not finding it fully, but in Revelations, essentially it talks about a one world system, or the system of Babylon.
Right.
And they will do many things. They will traffic in wares, but they also traffic in human souls. This whole one world system, one world. And I feel like it's that whole principle of also a one world religion. Like it's going to come underneath one banner. That there's the plan of Satan in Revelation is to raise up this one world system that, and God is coming, and the enemy is trying to set up an antichrist, the beast, to be worshipped above
Right.
God. Is it because God is like, oh, I need your worship? No, it's because the worship of anything but the one that is purely good, God himself, will destroy us. It will
Right.
hurt us, and it will
Right.
lead to death. And so your dream is just like that passage to me, from Revelation, just the book of Revelation. Like they are coming together, and they have been establishing this one world system, this one world government of, because communism is a masquerade for man having an elite group of people having power over, the masses.
Right.
It's spoken as like, okay, let's have equality. Everybody has the same thing. But in reality, it's a ploy throughout history. You see it throughout different governments where people that were standing there probably, that they are not, they're saying they're like, we're doing this to bring equality for people. But in honesty, it's a ploy to take full control and to have a few have power over the masses,
Right.
and destroy and manipulate and a big element of the one world system, or those who have done this, has been propaganda, false narratives through every every orifice, every place of media brings these false narratives and this propaganda. Did you laugh because I said that word? Anyways, through every place, they bring out lies and things to manipulate and to bring into like their this manipulation of propaganda. You're not going to be able to make it through it that I said that word.
Weird word.
Anyways, that's what was coming through my brain. Anyways, so in your dream, I think it was significant too. Obviously the 3 minutes probably represented a time frame, and it was significant that it was already a minute and a half. So you had reached the halfway gauge, and we had been hiding out. And in the dream, there were many people still hiding, and they weren't aware that there had been this delay, that there was this window of time while they were celebrating what they had done, the world, the flesh, and the devil, to bring in this destroying of most of humanity. They weren't aware. And
people that weren't aware of the regime, that weren't aware to hide and to take shelter, were frozen in place. It was too late for them. They were frozen for the duration of the 3 minutes. It was only the people that knew what was going on, had been hidden, been prepared, been ready, that were able to move and to take shelter.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because as believers, sometimes we're like in our little Christian worlds, and we don't understand that we do know it in theory, that the Bible has application for what is happening on the earth.
Right.
But for me at least, in the last, since 2020, I have woken up even more to the reality that the scriptures, this is beyond being the revelation of truth of Jesus. It came in the flesh as God to rescue mankind. He died and rose again, and all who believe in him shall be saved.
Right.
It's also, there's so much of just foretelling, present telling, past telling of who God is, but also what the enemy is trying to do throughout history and how God wins. I mean, there's no comparison. God wins. So in your dream, it's like this place where I think there's a lot of people unaware. They're not taking the scripture and going, okay, this earth I live in is actually, these two things are connected.
Right.
And to look at Revelations and what it's saying will occur, to realize that we're already walking through those pages. Like wherever we are, I'm not sure where we are in the timeline, but we are there because Jesus came and he started this age where he will return. And so, we just being aware and waking up and coming out of hiding and beginning to let God give us the spirit of discernment, because discernment is not just discerning good, it's also discerning evil, what spirits are ruling around us. And sometimes we just embrace the culture, we embrace everything around us because we're just like, well, we love Jesus and we're just walking, but to realize that Ephesians 6 is real. Yes. that when it says we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, a lot of times we as believers focus on that part of the passage, and we don't go ahead and realize that it says we do not battle with flesh and blood, but with principalities, powers, rulers, and in the heavenly places. And that's why he's saying get armored up in Jesus, because the reality is it's not humans, it's not flesh and blood we're battling. There's actually a demonic, satanic plan that is being enacted on our earth, and as we know through the scriptures, like the enemy comes to seek, kill, and destroy, like a roaring lion, prowling lion, seeing who he can devour.
Steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah, that too. So, but I think that awareness, sometimes we're like, well, we just need to focus on Jesus. 100%. We need to focus on Jesus first. But that doesn't mean he hasn't called us to be aware and discern. And that passage in Ephesians 6 is very clear. Like, you need to engage. You need to realize you are being engaged, and you need to take the authority that you've been given in Christ to stand against those things, and not just say, well, this is even down for us, like what we're watching on TV, where our kids are going, what music we're listening to, all these, we need to realize what's coming out of the world is underneath this world satanic system. And in your dream, those who were not aware didn't even hide from that system.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, they were just living their life, living La Vida Loca. And they were frozen in place, and it was too late for them. And it was almost too late for those who were watching, because we had slept in, and it happened in the middle of the night, and it was
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, like that, because I got up and was walking. It was already halfway. The freeze was already halfway done, and the freeze was like a delay. It was like something had happened, but it caused everyone to be frozen, except for the world power over there rejoicing, and they were kind of doing their dancing and hanging out. And I was shocked to realize I only had a minute and a half left to get a move on. So I ran back to our dirt hole to
get us
and
to say,
let's
let's
just get out and go.
Let's take advantage of this time while they are distracted. And to me, as believers, we're called to advance the gospel, to build the church, to disciple people, to see as many people rescued as possible. Was there a sense of what we were supposed to do when we came out?
No, the sense was there was a time. It was a time to flee, to get out of that space.
Okay.
It was like we could see to the left. You could see the plan of the enemy has unified, and it was coming down like a crazy firestorm. And in front of me, everything was frozen, even people on the walkways and the cars, and there was nothing was moving. Animals were frozen. Everything's just not moving, except for those who had been hiding. And it was like there was a small window to get away from it all and say, you know what? This is...
To come out of Babylon. To come out of the world system.
To come out of the world system. But that was only through the freeze. After the freeze, there was no leaving. It was whoever was frozen there was staying there.
Underneath that.
Whoever was asleep there was going to be waking up underneath that new
underneath
system.
The rule.
The new system that had been set up.
Yeah. One world government, one world religion, one world worship.
One world totalitarianism, evil thing. And I'm not sharing this stuff to scare you guys. I just get these dreams, and I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just sharing my dreams with y'all that I have. And I have another big one I want to share. Maybe we could do one later today, and that we could post.
It's also another dream?
Yeah, on an attack that I saw coming, and then again about the Antichrist being revealed. So
what time is it? Do we have time to share that now?
1:14.
Yeah. So we have a meeting. But let me just share the passages. So it doesn't use the terms like one world government or one world currency or system, but it talks about the beast and the beast system. So it says, the future Antichrist will have much more influence. It says, referring to him as the beast, says, the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast, and they worshipped. For he had given his authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast. Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it? And then it says, and this is also talking about the beast and the Antichrist. And authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all who dwell on earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. So, and then it talks about all unbelievers will give allegiance to the Antichrist during the tribulation period, and some will refuse the mark and will suffer as a result. So, if you go through Revelations, which is a wild book to read, but and even in the backdrop of the entire scriptures being the last book of the Bible, but I think it's just again that call to wake up, and to be aware, to let Jesus inform everything you see. Not just I'm building my little life with Jesus and my little family, but God is calling the American church out of compartmentalized Christianity and bringing us in to say, Jesus, if you are Lord, then you have lordship over every area of my life, which includes my decisions and what I do and what I say yes to, what I give myself to, even hobbies and all these things, just being aware that the enemy really is looking to try to destroy us. And
Right.
it's not to be discouraged, it's to be like, this is the time to come alive in Jesus like never before.
Amen.
And to be able to heed to what he's saying, because in the dream, like, you came out and then it's like, okay, the window is now, and to be able to respond to, because you're understanding what's happening.
In the dream, it was uncomfortable to come out of the hole we were all buried in. But I think we have, the Lord says, watch and pray. And in the dream, I'm thinking I was poking my head out of the hole looking, and it was in the night season. And I think we're in a nighttime season, and we need to keep a watchful eye of the signs and the times that we're living in, and not just tuck away because we might miss it, guys. Not the coming of the Lord. It says every eye will see it. I'm talking about what to do in times of crisis, what to do in these when things go sideways, is keeping a watchful eye on everything around us, what's going on, and pray and ask Jesus what your response should be, not just kind of hiding away and forgetting that the world exists, because it has not forgotten that you exist. That's the whole deal. Just like a little kid, when you play hide and go seek, they close their eyes and they think that they can't be seen. They can still see you. Okay, so just hiding doesn't mean you're not seen. It just means you think you can't be seen. And so, what's that old poem? It says, they came for my neighbor, and I didn't say anything. They came for my enemy. I didn't say anything. And when they came for me, there was no one left to help me, to speak for me. And I think we got to keep an eye out. We got to pray. This isn't for fear. I just think we need to grow up. We need to put our big boy, girl pants on. I was going to say our big pants on. and pray. Really, grow up. We need to grow up, and we need to pray and get ready for what the world has in store for us.
Get ready to be able to stand. I think that Noah, it says those days will be like the days of Noah, like the days of Lot. And they came out, like, they built an ark. They prepared for what was coming in the days of Lot. They had to come out of the city. And there's a time, guys, to be in the world, but not of it. And so us as believers, so many of us, and even there's parts of my life where I'm in the world and of it, and sometimes I'm not in the world and not even of it. I'm like hiding out. But he has said to be in it and of it, and to really to live for Jesus. So I think it's an encouraging word, even though it's he's trying to tell us, hey, even in Revelations, this is what's happening on our earth. And to be aware and to be watchmen and to stand guard, but also to be ready to move when he says move. Yeah. So hope you guys have an awesome day.
We'll jump back on. Bye.